was always envisaged that there would be a pyramid structure left after the demolition.
You know, control the money, you control the system. The more they get up higher in positions in that, then they're able to influence and control a much vaster part of science than we would be comfortable with. They're turning it into dogma, and that has progressed far too far along the line.
So they have a disproportionate voice.
That's correct. They have a disproportionate voice. The other thing is they attack anything that's out of the box that they're comfortable in, and they know. They attack it with a viciousness seldom seen in science. The recent viciousness of the attacks on cold fusion is one example. The attacks on anybody like me, for example, and I consider myself a poor example. I'm not a super scientist. I'm just a guy that looks at models and looks at what they contain and what they don't contain. That's basically what I do. But they attack anybody who's working out of the box as if he were an utter raving lunatic and as if the science were perfect and it were a religion brought down on the stone tablets with Moses or something. That's the problem. You're up against dogma, not scientific method. Scientific method is very clear. If the experiment is done and done well and properly, and if it is repeatable and it repeats the results, and those results fall outside the present model, the scientific method says you must change the model. That's not Tom Bearden, that's scientific method. Now when you say, we're going to attack you fiercely, and we're going to say, you know, the experiment is wrong, I don't care how many people replicated it, I don't care what you did, you're wrong, the experiment is wrong, and you're a lunatic for even bringing it to my attention, get out of my face, that is not science. That's dogma. And you're dealing with people who want to manipulate it right where it is and very happy in their cushy position. You're threatening to them. You're going to change the situation, the status quo. You don't like that at all. That's your problem.
Now, what we're doing here is we're taking situations where by applying scalar wave technology, we're actually changing the properties which these chemicals manifest without changing the chemical itself. Modern chemistry says that's not possible.
That's readily explained, but not in their model. So we've got to go to the models that can handle it, and that's the higher symmetry electromagnetics, which haven't been factored into chemistry very much yet either. So we're caught in a situation where we're using 100-and-something-year-old stuff, and it's been modified and curtailed. There have been one hell of a lot of physics discovered since then. There have been a lot of things discovered in electrodynamics since then so that we could model some of this higher physical phenomena, and it hasn't been added into the standard electrodynamics model, and it hasn't been added into chemistry. That's your problem. We're still using an archaic science. We're still affecting what the chemist is allowed to do because we're giving him a U1 model, and we're teaching him U1 electrodynamics. He never heard, most of them, of these higher symmetry electromagnetics. And certainly, I don't know of any chemical textbooks using them. If I change the local energy density of the vacuum in any form, whether it's mass or whatever, any form of energy that I change, the energy density of this local space right here, this local position, I immediately have a curvature of space-time. If I change the space-time curvature, and there's some mass sitting there, I affect the mass, and I change the mass. Now, you can get new mass. In a curved space-time, a photon has mass. The photon interactions with that mass now can add mass or subtract mass. You get my drift? You can have in this, if I take the exact template, the exact forms of all the dynamics and all the curvatures, I call that a template, and the dynamics, I call that an engine. Because if I change the space-time itself, which I can do electromagnetically with these higher symmetry electrodes, I can't do it with U1, because it assumes a flat space-time, don't have an engine. But if I use one of the others, I can have an engine. I can make it in space-time without a piece of mass even there. Then I can bring in a piece of mass, and it'll baby work on that dude until that mass changes to where how it would affect space-time fits that curvature, and that curvature working on it fits what it is. So that balance occurs between curved space-time and that. The engine works forever, and you don't have to provide any energy from it. It takes it from the whole universe, space-time itself. So you must understand the engine. Now, it can be modeled, it can be accurately expressed, including the exact molecule you form, if we change the chemistry to add engines, to add curved spacetimes, to add active vacuum going on all at the time. If you get a balance between the stuff coming out of the vacuum and the stuff coming from spacetime, that the only place they're in equilibrium is where this crazy molecule exists, that molecule will exist, it'll lock in. But you're advancing chemistry out of a flat space-time, no vacuum interaction model into a non-abelian model where you have a curved space, a unified field theory model where you have both a curved space-time and you have an active vacuum interacting with that system itself, with that chemical system itself, with those molecules themselves. If you manipulate the charges, baby, and change the engine they use, you can change what molecule they will form and be stable. And that's what you're doing. It can all be described with good theory. It will not fit the chemical model in most of those chemists' heads because you're not doing that. You're outside their model working. It's okay. That's what advancing science is called. All they're telling us is we've got to change our model. Nature works this way, now go model it this way. That's what they're telling us. That's scientific method. That's the advance of science.
We just secured this video.
The whole building's gone.
The whole building's gone. Indeed.
Holy fucking Jesus!
We do apologize for the language on the video.